Hey guys, this is Angela from Angela Wolf Video, and this is Video Tech Tuesdays, where we talk about tech specs and gear when it comes to video production and post-production. First Video Tech Tuesday live stream of the year. We are out of 2020, finally, thank goodness. It felt like a whole decade. Hopefully we are looking to 2021 to be a beautiful, new, great time for all of us. We kind of want to get started on the right foot, right? So today I thought we would talk about being organized so we can kind of start off the new year in a nice, clean, organized way. Plus, I always feel like whenever you're making changes for your business or for work, that kind of stuff, it's just kind of nice to do it at the beginning of the year. So it's like everything this year stays organized or is labeled or is put together using this one thing starting January 1. So that is why I thought we could work on organization today. Now, as always, I am live on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and I am trying to keep an eye on all of my streams. So if you have any questions at all, please feel free to comment, and I will do my best to pay attention to all those, and I'll answer them live. And then if you're watching this not live, don't worry, just use the hashtag replay so I know that you watched it later and I didn't get a chance to answer your question, and I'll be sure to either message you or answer it next week on our next live stream. So here we are. It looks like we are live everywhere. We're ready to go. So I pulled up a couple of, let's see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 and a half. I guess it's 5. I've got 5 tips for you guys for staying organized from production through post-production and creating videos. So whether you're making branded content, whether you have a YouTube channel, whether you're doing blog posts, whatever it is, you're creating video content, it's really easy for that to just kind of get away from you, right? You make one video, you make 2 videos, suddenly you've got like 25 videos, and now you got to like organize everything, and you got to organize footage and shoots, and everything just gets a little overwhelming. So these are my 5 tips on how to kind of keep your video creation workflow flowing, all right? So first one is about call sheets. Anytime you are filming, even if it's just like you and the talent, I always suggest making call sheets. This is one of my like weirdly favorite things to do. It's just like makes me feel really good and centered once I'm done. So on a call sheet is going to be telling you, is basically the schedule for your filming, all right? But it's going to get really nitty gritty. And sometimes it's more information than maybe your clients need to know. So I don't always send it to the clients. You know, I might tell the clients we'll be filming from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whoa, that's a really long day. From 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and we will arrive at 8. That might be what I tell the client, but what I make for myself and for my crew is a call sheet that's going to go through the details so everyone is on the same page. So first off, you need a call time. That is when people arrive, all right? So this is not when the camera starts rolling. This is not when they are ready to open up the cases. This is when they show up to set or to location. Then I always like to put up after call time, that's big, bold at the top, we have the setup time. Usually I give depending, I'm in the city, I know parking is a nightmare. So I have my call time, and then I have a setup time after that. That's about 15 minutes later, with this anticipation that people are going to have to pull up to the location, unload the gear, and then go find parking off-site and then walk back to the location. So by the time we're actually ready to start like opening cases, it's probably going to be 10 or 15 minutes after that call time when everyone arrived. So I like to build that in, again, just because making it like little nitty gritty knows we like account for everything, and we're not going to fall behind in our schedule for the day. Then after we have the setup time, fun fact too, what I tell the clients is I really tell them the setup time, right? So I say, we'll arrive at 8 a.m. to set up, and we'll be ready to start shooting at 9 a.m. So my call time probably would be 7:45, then setup time at 8, so that your client is expecting to see your beautiful faces at 8 a.m. and they're not kind of like anxious waiting, like, oh, you're 10 minutes late. Well, they're not 10 minutes late because you like did arrive, but you haven't walked through the door yet. So I always give them the setup time just to let them know that, like, hey, you can expect to see our faces at X amount of time. So then we have the setup. Again, that's something you're going to need to know. How much time you need is just based off of the gear you have, the location site, how much people are with you, all that kind of stuff's going to be really variable. So then once you're done your setup time, next you have filming. When do you start rolling the camera, right? Always give yourself a little extra time. This is something I have to explain to a lot of clients, that a 10-minute video takes more than 10 minutes to film. I get a lot of like, we're using a teleprompter. It's a 1-minute script. Can't you just get that done in like 5 minutes? And it's like, actually, no. So make sure your filming time really accounts for, like, people are going to stumble. Also, a lot of times you have to like readjust your setup right like at that filming time, because you have your talent or whoever's, maybe you're interviewing the CEO. He's not going to walk in the door at setup time at 8 a.m. He's going to walk on for that like very limited amount of time you have with him to film. So that is you need to factor in, you're going to have to adjust your lights, adjust your audio, get things just like little tweaks perfect as part of that filming time. Next, don't forget about breaks. Are you filming over lunch? Also, mention if lunch is provided. Are you getting it catered? Are you just giving everyone an hour break to go off site and then come back? Make sure all of that is really well booked in there, well explained for your crew to know what to expect and what they need to be bringing with them. And of course, don't forget your breakdown time. So that takes not as much time as setup, thank goodness, but that's also something you got to factor in, that, you don't want to tell people, yeah, we end at 5, but like, oh, actually, we turn the camera off at 5. You got to stay another hour to like clean up. People are not going to be like, no one likes that, right? Cleaning up, breaking down, and setting up is work. It's physical work people are doing. They are on location. They cannot be on their phone. They cannot be sipping a martini. That considers it work. That is kind of like a wonderful thing I learned from by filming a lawyer give a workshop about workers' comp and that kind of stuff. So if you cannot be sipping a martini, that means you are on the clock and you should get compensated. So just remember to put all of that down. And then, of course, I always like, do you have a hard out? Is like the location closing down, turning off the lights and locking the door at 6 o'clock? Then make sure you note that, like, hey, if we're not out at 6 o'clock, we have to sleep over in the building. So make sure you label when you expect to leave. And then, of course, if there is a hard out at any time, so people know, like, it almost, I'm sorry we couldn't finish, but we need to pack up and leave because of the location requirements. So those are all the things schedule-wise that you want to put down on a call sheet. Non-scheduled things that are very important that you want to be listing on your call sheet is location addresses, actual addresses that people can put into Google. I get very flustered when I have clients say, oh, we're in the XYZ building. Okay, well, the building is a whole city block. Do I come in on the west, on 4th Street or on 5th Street? Do I come in on Chestnut or Walnut, right? So you have to let people know the address they can put into a GPS, the location for them to come in. Also, a lot of times, especially if you're like filming in a hotel or a big event space, they don't want you to drag all your gear through the front lobby. So find out ahead of time, do you need to go through a back entrance? Do you have to go in through like the loading dock? Do you know what I mean? Or is there an easier spot with that has ramps versus, a lot of times the front entrance is just a bunch of steps and you can't get your gear up there. That kind of stuff's really important to make sure you're marking down. Along with parking, let people know if there's on-site parking, if it's street parking, if there's a parking lot nearby, anything like that. You, of course, want contact information for you, for the client, for anyone who's filming, just so that everyone can get in contact with each other if there's an emergency the day of. They don't have to go scrolling through a bunch of old emails to try and figure it out. Always want to put on safety instructions right now, of course, because of COVID, make sure, big, bold, that you let everyone know that you need to have a mask. You have to show up with a mask on. You have to not have check your temperature before you come on. Make sure you don't feel sick. Of course, also, a lot of times, post give the address of the nearest hospital, because God forbid, we don't want to ever use this information. But if there is an emergency, having it right there on the call sheet without having to do Googling, without having to do any of that extra stuff, we have it and we're ready to go. God forbid there's an emergency. So that kind of covers what I like to put down on my call sheets and how I like to organize those. So that's for filming. Again, even if you just have 2 people, I think it's really worth it. And like I said, it makes me feel comfortable, because at first I'm like, oh my God, I have 5 interviews to film today. What am I going to do? And then you break it all down and you put in the little bits and all right, we're going to take a break here, and it's going to take, it'll take an hour to film that interview. And you break it all down and you're like, oh, this is actually really manageable. So that's the nice part about call sheets. Number 2 for my tips. You want to do consistent labels. So this is obviously for everything, but especially important for organizing footage and post-production. So what I like to do, I don't know if there's a real term for this format. I was always told it was the newspaper format for dates. I interned at a newspaper when I was in school doing video for a newspaper. So what they always used was year, month, date. I can pull that up on my screen. There you go. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube. Boop. So today's date would be 21/01/05. The reason I really like this is because it does your year first. So everything this year will be grouped together. Then it does, I'm trying to line up my hands with the logos. Then we have the month, which we know are not in alphabetical order. So when you put January, it's going to actually show up later than February in if you're organizing everything alphabetically, right? So we have everything in this year organized, and we have everything in this month organized, and of course we have the day, so it goes in order of the day it was filmed. I always label everything with this format as the very first part. That's the first thing I put down in my file structure. The date I use is the date it was filmed, whether or not I filmed it. A lot of times I have clients, especially right now because of COVID, people are filming things themselves or they're recording things on Zoom. If they recorded something today and sent me the footage tomorrow, I put down today's date because it's the day it was filmed. It was recorded. So if it's something that is not recorded at all, like you're doing like a stock footage video, I would do the date that the project is started. The thing is, I don't like ever using end dates because those change a lot. It's like, hey, this is going to go live February 1st, and then something happens, it gets delayed, or new news comes out and they got to put it out first because this is actually going to, there's a big announcement coming in January, so we want to tie it in with that. So we never know when anything's due. So always put the date that the project is filmed on and or started on. And then that's how I label my call sheets too. I put that date first, then underscore call sheet, blah, blah, blah. So then for consistent labeling, that's the first thing I do is the date. Then I do an underscore because I'm one of those people who hates spaces. I do all underscores, so it's all one thing, no spaces, no nothing. That's just how I like to label everything. Then I do the client that it's for, then underscore what the project title is. Again, project titles change all the time. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've had to like remake title graphics because they wanted to change the project name. So it's another reason why like having just a project name is not actually very helpful for organizing purposes. So that's how I like to label everything. I think the main thing to take back from that is that you need to find a labeling format that works really well for you and that you can do consistently, right? No matter what happens, no matter if you get super busy and you've got 5 shoots on the same day, you can still organize the footage. Or you get, again, super busy and you have the same client giving you 5 different projects with weird names and like no one's really figured out what to call them yet. And like the dates are up in the air. So that kind of stuff, you just want to kind of be prepared. So no matter what, everything is consistent. So speaking of consistency, number 3 is consistent folders. So come up with a file structure that makes sense to your brain, that you can always know this is where all my files are. This is where I can figure it out. I like to do client, and then within the client, I like to do the dates and do it by project with, again, it might say client A, and then you go into that folder and then it says 21/01/05 underscore whatever I filmed today. And then I know in that folder is everything for that one specific project. That's how I like to organize. But again, just do something very consistent. So in November, when you have your client from January call you up and say, hey, actually, we fired someone and we need you to take their interview out of the video, but otherwise we want to keep it the same. You can go and find all your project files very easily, because even if you don't remember exactly what it was called or exactly the day you filmed it, this is how you stay organized and you know where to look for the footage. My other tip for that is use a cloud service for backup. I use Dropbox, but there's iCloud, there's Google Drive, there's a whole bunch of different ones. So I make sure I have like a backup of all my project files saved in my Dropbox. I have all my important documents saved in my Dropbox. So if my computer and or hard drives all die at the same exact time, I can still access everything. And of course, have backup drives of all of your footage as well. That's super important. I just make I just copy. Like, I have an edit drive and I have the exact copy of that edit drive saved onto 2 other backup drives, all with the same name. It's like edit drive 1, backup 1, backup drive 1, backup drive 1, 2, right? All together, call it a day. So, where are we? We are number 4. Tip 4 is to create logs. Again, with this idea of like you're having lots of footage, you're making lots of videos, it's really easy to get lost in that. So make a log of it and have it. I suggest using something like Google Docs that multiple people can access if you're working in teams. You want it to be able to, everyone who needs to update it, and everyone who needs to view it can view the most updated version. So sending back and forth emails is just really clunky and really not very organized. So I love using Google Docs. I have like a whole long list in a Google spreadsheets that has all of the projects. It's organized by project. So I do, all right, here are all my live videos that I've done in 2020. And I put them down with the date that they're, go live. What's the title? What's the description? What's all the stuff I need to know? And just make a giant sheet of it, right? I have that for some of my clients who I do monthly work with where, we're making multiple videos a month with them. We want to stay organized. We want to know what version are we working on? What has been posted to what social media? Where are we going? What's the organization? What's the scheduling? That kind of stuff. Put it all into a sheet in Google Docs so everyone can access it who needs to access it. Everything makes sense and is easy again to go back in 6 months and look up a project from back then and know exactly where it's saved, what's been done with it, what needs to get done. And my last tip 5, is to do monthly cleanups. Just either at the end of the month or the beginning of the month, whenever you're least busy / think about it. Just go through and just kind of make sure, like double check all your backups are backed up, right? Go through all your footage drives, make sure that you have the backup drives that match it. Make sure your project files are saved on the cloud. Make sure that anything that you wanted to implement, either file numbering or in the logs, anything like that. Just go through, make sure everything looks up to date, everything is organized correctly, and we're all good to go. Because trying to do that after a whole year of not being organized is really, really hard. So that way you can just kind of update month to month. You should be doing this, you should be implementing this every day. But if you do an audit once a month to make sure that everything has been done correctly, that just saves you a headache down the road. So I think that's all of my tips for staying organized. I love being organized because it makes me feel happy. It just I know I can do it because my schedule says I can get it done, right? That's the type of person I am. So if you have any questions about starting a new video project, the first thing, of course, as always, I would tell you to do is, that's my name. There we go, is to check out a bit.ly/AWV checklist. It's in my link tree in my bio on Instagram if you cannot see it on the screen. It's a free checklist to download. It tells you kind of what you need to know to start your pre-production for a video. How big's the project going to be? How many cameras do you need? Who's going to be in it? All of that good stuff. Absolutely free, so be sure to download that. And once you do, if you still have questions, if that didn't answer your question for you, not a problem. Give me a call, schedule a call with me at bit.ly/callawv. Again, in my link tree in my Instagram bio. Completely free. Schedule a call. We'll talk for half an hour and I will answer any questions that you have about starting a new video project. So I think that is everything I wanted to cover today. A little bit longer, but I always run long. We know this. So have a wonderful start of the new year. We're going to make 2021 amazing. Knock on wood. Still being cautiously optimistic. And I will see everyone next week. Tuesdays at 1 o'clock, Video Tech Tuesdays.